Okay, so Jason, do you want to go?
Well, I mean, now it's awkward because, I mean, like, the last things I wanted to talk about were my problems with the movie. And now, without him here, I mean, it's just going to sound like I'm just dumping on this
Oh no, that's okay. I'm here to, to give the other perspective, and we can try to wrap it up. That's
Okay.
too
All
bad. Yeah,
right.
I should have tried to let
No,
you
no, no.
say.
It's impossible to know when these things will happen. It's fine. All right. So in no particular order, let me just, there's a few really big problems with this movie. Okay. And again, these are going to go from really big problems to just peeves, but it's just a list and they're in no order. Okay. every
Okay.
si- every single thing about the Zor-El Russell Crowe AI hologram is bullshit and problematic.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that they are able to create this like AI thing that's so much like a real person that it has like emotions and stuff completely undercuts the impact of his death. But also, it just has like real world problems. Like, okay, it runs around not just the old colony ship, but also the bad guy ship, and it just runs around, which to me means they must have hologram projector technology that is so readily available that they just throw it everywhere because it's like, why not? It'd be convenient to do so, and that's fine, except that if that technology exists and has existed in their like society for 22,000 years or 20,000 years, sorry, I'm sorry, but the way technology and stuff works, you rarely ever have redundant technology. Usually something prevails and then it becomes the dominant thing. Look at like VHS and beta, or like
Yeah.
Blu-ray and HD DVD. And those are just weird examples, but they're good examples, because if you had technology that is photorealistic, like lifelike holograms that are so easy to do that you throw them all over your ships, and moreover, you've had it clearly for 20,000 years. That metal technology, the liquid metal technology that they're showing to do the baby birth at the beginning, and they're using it all over Krypton, and then they use it at the end with the big they use it for the giant spider that he has to fight at the end. John Peterson's giant spider that has to show up in the third act. All of that technology doesn't make any sense. Why would you be? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of these movies that do this. It's probably the 20th movie that's done this, where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a way to manipulate metal in a way
Uh,
where it could create an actual lifelike, or like a three-dimensional object for us to look at, and it was detailed enough that it's okay that it's monochromatic, because we would enjoy the 3D aspect of it better than a screen. That's interesting. But once you have
yeah.
lifelike holograms, that technology's done.
That
Yeah.
is very nitpicking, though.
Okay, wait, wait, hold on.
Well.
One last thing. One last
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Sorry. So those are the first two things, and
I was
then
just trying to
last.
agree with you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
No
man.
time pressure now. You can let him
I
say
know.
something.
It just makes it stupid that, like, so you've got this AI thing, and he can plug it into the flash drive on the ship, right? So this
Yeah.
is a two-part thing. The other, like, the colony ships are extremely problematic. Why are there no, they say they send out thousands of colony ships that, according to the ice thing, are 20,000 years old. Why are there not millions of Kryptonians, billions at this point, all over the galaxy? They have one line of dialogue somewhere, a throwaway line saying our outposts failed. Why? How? And even if they did, why are there not Kryptonians on other planets that just like, we're like, well, our outpost failed. We had to do whatever we could. We just went to this planet. Now there's like thousands of Supermen all over the place. That doesn't make any damn sense. And I think the only reason they did it is because they didn't want to have a Fortress of Solitude for him to talk to his father on, like in the old, Christopher Reeves thing. So they had this ship that for some reason they have to find, that's 20,000 years old. He plugs it into the flash drive that still works on the damn thing, and and then his dad can talk to him with these things, and this AI is so advanced that it's basically like talking to his father with all his memories and experiences and everything. So At this point, Zod says to him, "You got 24 hours to make a decision what to do." Why doesn't Superman go to his father's ship, to the ship, I mean, that he has up there, plug into the flash drive, talk to his father, and go, "Hey, who's this Zod guy? Can he be reasoned with? Is he going to be okay?" He'd be like, "No, this guy is insane. He will literally kill everybody on this planet. And if you give him what he wants, he's still going to kill everyone on this planet. You have to make a decision now to either kill him or lose. I mean, this is all it is." And then he could just be like, "All right, cool." And then take his little baby pod thing and just chuck it at the guy in space and kill them all. And no human deaths. That's what they do at the end to succeed. They take the pod that he flew in because it has a phantom drive on it, and they drop it onto his ship, and it creates a black hole and kills all of them, and it saves the day. If they learn that because Lois talks to Russell Crowe. If he could just talk to Russell Crowe during that 24-hour period, he could just grab the stupid pod, fly into space, throw it at their ship, and then save the day. 0 human deaths.
Yeah, but I think he doesn't. Does he speak to him? Like, I
he
think
doesn't. Talks to a priest.
Yeah, he talks to a priest. Exactly. He didn't know. I mean, he himself didn't trust Zod, but
yeah, but he can learn what the important information he needs to know to make the decision he's struggling with by talking to his father, who's right there because of this dumb technology. All I'm saying is this is
what I'm asking is, at that point in the movie, did he already speak to his father?
Once, but there's no reason he can't go back up there and talk to him.
Oh, he spoke to him once. Oh, yeah, with Lois, when Lois was there and stuff.
Yeah.
And right. I mean,
not to harp on the same thing. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, he could literally just jump. He could literally hop, skip, and jump to the ship and talk to his father again.
Yeah. I'm going to go talk to a priest and struggle with this decision rather than talk to someone who intimately knows Zod.
And but he doesn't necessarily know any of this. It's
his dad showed him the flashback scene with the
with Zod,
the little metal thingy on the wall that explains the history, and he goes, "This was what happened to Krypton," and he goes, "And then this evil General Zod showed up, and he did this, and this, and we barely launched you into space at the last second." Blah 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 blah.
Wait, so so he did tell him about Zod, and that's why
he just told him he's a bad man, and that's
why he didn't trust him. Okay, now you're connecting it.
I'm just saying, why not go? He has 24 hours to struggle with this decision, rather than go to a priest and just go, "Gosh, what's the moral solution to this dilemma?" Go talk to Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's the one who ends up telling Lois Lane that they need to use the Phantom Drive to kill him. I mean, he could have gotten all the information right then and there, but he just like, oh, there's no reason for him to go talk to him.
I can see that argument that maybe that's something he could have done, but he just made the wrong call in the moment.
I just mean to say that the having the super advanced AI hologram of Russell Crowe is the problem, because then once you take that out, then the rest of that works. But the fact that he's there, it's so problematic on so many levels. And it couples with the stupid ship, the 20,000-year-old pioneer colonizing ship, because it's like they say it's 20,000 years old. I can maybe in a weird sci-fi comic book movie accept that their technology is still relevant and compatible after 20,000 years. I don't know why it would be, but whatever, it's Kryptonian. Who knows? Maybe it just works, But why?
Yeah, no, I buy that it works.
So let's just say we're all going to be on the same page with that. Who cares? It works. Okay, why does the House of L, one family amidst the entire planet of Krypton, have one of its suits in a 20,000-year-old ship?
One thing that I wanted to point out, like Jor-El, who in the movie somehow was rescued by his giant space wasp twice in one sequence.
His avatar bird.
Yeah. Jason, you brought up Star Trek Into Darkness earlier, and one of the biggest problems with Star Trek Into Darkness was hey, we cured death.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems with Man of Steel is, well, they didn't quite cure death, but they got really fucking close.
Yeah, with the hologram thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, if Jor-El was just there as a hologram, say, like
Pre-recorded messages.
yeah, right, yeah, making pre-recorded messages,
That would have been fine.
okay. But I mean, it seemed like it's a conscious being.
Yeah.
So
It's so problematic.
Well,
yeah,
I think it's limited programming. Like it's not the individual. It's limited, but it comes close. It's a representation of it.
like
Yeah, but
Joy from Blade
from
Runner.
yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah,
love her.
but in any case,
I love her
as far
so
as
much.
as far as the all those things, I think it's just him being flawed, him not knowing what to do. He goes to a priest because he's a kid from Kansas, not because he's not a like Zod, like a general who will think what's the
Well,
next best move to do.
I
He
guess my problem isn't with that decision, because you're right. That's a very human thing to do. It's just a dumb thing to have put in the movie because it creates that weird hole, that weird problem.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say before I forget is
Yeah.
I know I've known this since I was a kid, but it is kind of fun that for one thing, his mother is Israeli, the in the movie, but
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
also
yeah,
there's a Snyder
yeah. She
connection
was also in
casting.
Munich.
Yes, that's true. Well, Munich has a lot of Israeli actors, but in any case,
Yeah, except for the lead.
except for the few leads actually. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like the people in Israel. A lot of
Yeah,
them were Israeli actors.
yeah.
Yeah, but actually Golda Meir wasn't in Israel. In any case, it's all stupid. And then they speak in different languages. Some speak in Hebrew, some speak in English. It's all stupid, but whatever. In any case, still an okay movie. But in any case, I was gonna say like his name is Kal-El, like
Yeah.
son of El. El is God in Hebrew.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and I do wonder, and he was created by Jewish writers, at least
Yep.
one of them, I think. So yeah, I wonder if the whole L thing is because he's supposed to be
Oh,
sort of a
almost.
god.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be even remotely surprised. I think that's just
yeah,
good writing.
that's probably what it is. Yeah, Kal-El, son of El. Which, by the way, my last name Ben-Harosh is son of Harosh. It's son of El. Like even his last name is like kind of like Israeli. so
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's I totally understand your feelings, and obviously when you pick apart, especially a movie that's this like a movie that's this like swinging for the fences, you're gonna find flaws. I did, so I don't deny your point of view at all. It's and maybe I didn't get to see it said before, but ultimately, whether it's Snyder or whatever it is, or the other iterations of Superman, the other attempts like Superman Returns and stuff, um, I really thought it was just refreshing that somebody at least attempted to do something different. And I was like, maybe that's the best you can do right now for Superman. And it does suck that he didn't give him at least one movie as Superman to actually have a movie with hope in it. But that's fine, and hopefully the next reboot will be better. Like you said, maybe a happy medium. But I was just glad that it was somebody was swinging for the fences with it, even if
Yeah.
it wasn't a home run, you know.
And for the record, I at least I did like the movie better than Superman Returns.
Yeah. Oh,
I
definitely.
you might actually remember we were actually we were in the theater waiting to see Atonement, and the trailers came up, and the trailer for the other Boleyn girl came up, and I just turned to you and said, Genesis, like Panavision Genesis. It and that's because that camera always looked like a piece of shit. I mean, it was just it looked plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I-
I think if I'm not mistaken,
and
I saw this on IMAX, like Superman Returns, which was a terrible idea. It was so
yeah,
like so much noise.
yeah.
Like
Well,
pitch perfect.
I mean, Superman Returns we saw in a normal theater the first time, but Man of Steel was that was shot on 35 millimeter film, and it looked kind of nice.
Although
Uh,
it was grainy, but
but
not as grainy in a bad way as Superman Returns. Which, by the way, I rated it a 5, so I definitely was consistent on that one.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, the one thing I forgot, it's too bad because I did send to Naor the trailer, but like the
Oh
article.
yeah, we got to talk about the
Yeah,
trailer.
we should talk about that quickly.
All right,
Um,
well, hurry because I was only halfway through. But go
oh
on.
wow, okay, well, but in any case, yeah, no, I do find this interesting, like people's approaches, like that article that we saw that's basically saying how the last trailer was, and we've brought this up in other episodes before, how sometimes trailers can almost feel like they have more substance than the movie itself because they're touching on
Yeah.
ideas, but they don't have to flesh them out completely, and in the movie they ended up not being fleshed out. So I totally understand the point of view of that article saying that the trailer is the best Superman movie never made. But because it's probably the movie that I did want to see, or at least something close to it. Like there's some touches of it in the actual movie, stuff about
Lines
you
of
know
dialogue, maybe.
like they pulled the line of dialogue of Russell Crowe saying, because Kryptonians are like basically DNA modified, like genetically modified and
Mhm.
stuff, like the B whatever caste system that they have, and he's like the first one in generations that's but
Yeah.
they don't play that up enough. They
Nope.
don't they don't like play enough. I mean, Noah touched on this, the whole thing with Zod having just a one purpose and him being his own man,
Yeah.
conflicted and everything, but they don't play it up enough. The whole thing about what kind of a person will you be, like, what's it's that dilemma of like once you have so much power, like if you're a superman on a planet with puny humans, like how do you use that power, and none of that was in this. Like that should have been maybe a second movie because this was dealing with the whole Zod thing. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's just that it wasn't completely fleshed out in the movie. It had so many other things it was going for or
I
trying to
mean,
deal with.
even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies kind of latched onto the "with great power comes great responsibility" line, and really built around those.
As it should.
Well,
It's Spider-Man's like motto.
yeah, and I don't think that this iteration of Superman really embraced that idea.
At all.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and by the way, I will say, I don't think the Dark Knight trilogy really. I do wonder what this new Batman movie would be, but I don't think that it completely nailed Batman in a way that I see it in my head. Because I also see Batman as a very conflicted character, like very, the whole thing about being a vigilante and do you have the right, they deal with the fact that the public is not happy and the police and there's like some tension there. But Batman himself, he's just not demented enough for me. He's like the most straight character in all his movies oftentimes, almost like a detective, the way he is, especially in The Dark Knight. And the Joker says how we're not so different, you and I, but actually they are. Like it's just that they don't play it up enough. Batman is the most boring character in The Dark Knight. Everybody's more interesting, and that shouldn't be the case. But that's
yeah,
but that
sorry, I've actually been saying for several years that if anybody ever dared to give me the right to direct a Batman movie, it would be NC-17, and Batman would be a fucking psychopath.
yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
But,
He
do what
is
Darren Aronofsky was going to do then.
yeah,
probably.
well, only he wouldn't be driving around in a souped-up Lincoln Town Car or whatever the hell he was trying to do. But yeah, and Alfred wouldn't be a middle-aged black man named Big Al. He might be a black man. I mean, I don't care, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the whole Big Al thing.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think all these reboots and reiterations, the good thing is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but there's more of them coming. It's just like, so like there are new Spider-Mans, there's a new Batman, and I'm sure there's gonna be a new Superman, and you can only hope that Transformers. I have this hope that maybe that gets rebooted and done right,
Did you see
because
the Bumblebee movie?
the Bumblebee movie was pretty good, right? Like it was not
Yeah.
bad. It was
I
not
mean,
amazing.
that's a soft reboot for sure. I mean,
It
it was
was a
way better.
step in the right direction, but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's possible in the right hands, and you just
Yeah.
hope, whether it's even Star Trek. I don't know if there's a chance that Star Trek will be
Yeah,
remade, or if it's just so far gone.
Star Trek's
Well,
dead.
I
Star Trek
just
Star
is
Trek's
dead.
I just hope that the next time somebody, if you're right, Gil, but I hope that the next time someone reboots Superman, that they watch Man of Steel and they don't do everything on this list that is wrong with this movie.
From your point of view, and I'm sure you're right on some of it, but some of the things that I like and are liked is just, because we just want to see a movie about a guy who landed from space and is superhuman, or whatever that thing is. It needs to be close. It needs to have the suit, obviously, but and most of they kept in there, but yeah, and I understand that certain things need to be there, but other things are just, it just needs to be a good story. I
Well, I
don't know.
mean, it would help if, like, you didn't have a movie where, like, they have flying dildos in it. That's like completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. This movie was, it's so over the top, because when you think about Superman 2, and him, it's my favorite, like one of my favorite comic book movies ever. It's like the quintessential sequel, because they took Superman 1, and then they in 2 there's three of them flying around, and he has to deal with three of them. That's genius. And it's dealt with so well. Like how he tricks them because he's been there longer, and he used that to his
Certainly
own.
better than this movie.
Yeah, it is better than this movie, and it's just so enjoyable, because it's got strategy in it, personalities in it, and even though it's a bit campy and the effects are cheap, it just really works on a lot of levels. And yeah, I don't know. But then this movie works another way, and then this one, the reason why I was going there is that there's no ships, there's no this, it's just flying people. It's cool. Like flying ships, I can see on Independence Day and other like alien movies. We didn't need to go that alien. It would have been nice if they had kept their ships like in orbit or something, and just made it more about the flying people. Which is what Superman is about. But that's fine. Yeah.
Well, while you're talking about flying people, why can't Clark fly as a child?
I guess
Like,
because he doesn't know the trick.
I
Yeah,
don't think. Well,
he
Zod
jumps.
and his soldiers learned within about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
yeah,
they're trained.
he never listened to Tom Petty's song.
Maybe that's all it is.
Maybe. Um,
May he rest in peace.
Well,
Seriously, I love Tom Petty. So,
let me just wrap this up then real quick with what the last things I wanted to say. Number one, if everything else in this movie was fine, there's an almost unforgivable moment in this movie that just is, it's mind-blowing to me that a movie could be made for all this money that is going to be like a tentpole thing. It's going to be the start of a massive franchise for this, studio. And there's so many people who have to sign off on the script and through so many phases and everything. And they have the scene with the terraforming line. I want to throw up when I see that scene.
yeah,
It's so incredible to me that somebody didn't raise their hand and go, the character, Richard Schiff plays Dr. Emil Hamilton. This guy is basically your stereotypical action, sci-fi, whatever movie. He is the president's smart scientist guy. You know, he's Dr. Strangelove, you know, or whatever. You know, I mean, he is the guy they go to for answers because he knows everything, you know. And this guy looks at this thing and says, the machine and he says, oh, it's heating the earth and it's somehow doing something to make it more dense. And it's, oh my God, they're terraforming. And for anyone who doesn't understand what I'm saying, it's fine because maybe you're not into sci-fi and stuff like that. But the word terraforming means to turn something Earth-like. We use it on Earth here because we talk about going to other planets and creating something, doing something to them to make them Earth-like. Terraforming, Earth-like. Other civilizations turning Earth into something that's not Earth-like is not terraforming. It's not a phrase that gets tossed around like that. And the scientist who's the smartest man on Earth would never say that line, let alone just anybody who's read a decent amount of science fiction. Then they have the gall to have Carol Ferris's character, who's supposed to be like an Air Force major or something. I mean, this woman flies planes and stuff and is supposed to be very smart. And she's probably read enough science fiction or even just science to know what terraforming is. And even if it's the entirely wrong word that should have never been used the way it's used, her character goes, what's that? And he goes, it's when they change a planet to be like, no, it's not. Oh my God. I literally want to throw up every time I see that scene. I have no clue how that made it into this movie. It's unbelievable.
And the funny thing is, it's even less forgivable being that it came out 2 years after Transformers Dark of the Moon, when the Decepticons were trying to do the exact same thing.
Yes. But they have a line in that movie because I don't remember. Anyway,
but what? I don't know what. Like that's very nitpicky. Really, like
no!
I mean,
no, it's not.
No, because there is no word for an like
you don't use
Krypton
the word.
forming.
Yeah, well, if they had known what the planet was called Krypton, he could have said crypto forming, but that's not even a real word.
Instead of
what
terraforming,
you would say they're changing the planet to make it like their planet. And then someone would go, what? They'd be like, it's like terraforming, only they're not terraforming. They're doing the opposite. We're all going to die.
I agree with you that could have been an easy fix if they had just flipped that.
That actually could have been a really entertaining scene.
Right? Oh, God. It hurts my brain.
What are they doing? They're manipulating the planet to be like theirs. Is there a word for that? Well, fuck it. I mean, well, we've got terraforming, but it's not exactly that.
Well, no, maybe someone who's not a scientist. If somebody who's not a scientist were to say, "Oh, they're terraforming," and then the scientist would have corrected them, "Well, terraforming is making it like Earth, but close enough." Yeah, that could have been a light moment.
If they had written a scene that would somehow justify a uneducated homeless man being in the room who says that line, I would have accepted that and I would have loved it. And it would have made sense, because then I could have it would have actually been a nice statement to every other sci-fi movie, like Matt just said, that incorrectly uses that term. But instead they have Carol Ferris say it. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
Now, I actually think that, I mean, just compare this to Jason Statham in Spy, my favorite line from that movie, where...
How are you good? Never mind. Go ahead. I just want to see it. I want to hear you say it. Go ahead.
Okay. Melissa McCarthy, that's her name, right? Asks Jason Statham, where did you get that suit? And he just says, fucking made it. I mean, like, it's kind of the same thing, like where you can just have that moment where somebody says, they're terraforming. No, they're fucking cryptoforming.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
mean,
something.
that's fun.
Just
Like,
as long as they correct it. If they don't have to use the word cryptoforming. Just someone has, if you want to throw the word terraforming in incorrectly, have an idiot say it and have someone correct them. You don't have the person who's representing the smartest scientific mind in America incorrectly, not even just incorrectly, use the word terraforming in the opposite to describe something that's doing the opposite of terraforming.
yeah,
And then have someone else who's supposed to be very smart in the room go, "What is that?" As if they've never heard the word in the term in their entire life. That
yeah,
is dumb. Anyway, okay, moving on.
Oh
My
boy.
big problem with this whole movie really comes down to this. The movie is joyless. Like, I cannot believe that they managed to make a movie about Superman and the scene where he flies for the first time is absent of joy. It's completely absent of joy. Even that stupid Superman Returns movie that we were just talking about and ragging on has a flashback scene where he's leaping really far and he's like thrilled. It's the first time in his life he's ever done this. He's leaping like half miles across like farms and then he flies for the first time and it's like amazing. If there's one experience that human beings across this entire planet can call like a universal experience, like a universal longing, it's that for however long humans have been on this planet, we've probably looked at birds and went like, wow, that'd be kind of cool. Like, wow. Even if you never did it seriously and you never devoted time to thinking about flying, it's a practically universal thing that humans have thought about. And like, there's movies, not even forget about Marvel and DC. There's movies like that movie Chronicle, where those teenagers all get
hmm
weird powers and start flying. Like when you put a scene in a movie where a normal human being can fly for the first time in their life, it's almost like obligatory that it's a joy-filled scene, because I can't
yeah,
think of any way that a human being would not be just giddy when that happens for the first time. I mean, like, even look at far back as like The Rocketeer and stuff. It's something that is a slam dunk. All you have to do is depict somebody flying for the first time and show the joy of that moment. And this movie somehow, I have no clue how, manages to show this scene, and everything from the tone to the visuals, the everything about it is just joyless. And that's like how the whole movie is. There's no hope and no joy in this movie. And it's so crazy to me. I mean, that's you asked me earlier if my feelings on this were based off like my feelings about the comic book in it. I don't think that that's the right way to put it, because I mean, yeah, there's that, but it gets down to the core of what Superman is. I mean, like, you wouldn't accept it if like a Shakespeare movie just completely altered the theme of what it's supposed to be about. Even if you were like, well, that's a bold new take. I mean, you could make changes to Shakespeare, but it should at least represent what the story is supposed to be about. I mean, Superman is a very American story. It's like a true immigrant story at its core. It's like about an alien who gets sent to Earth and becomes the ultimate symbol of hope and goodness because he was raised by a wholesome, pure American couple, particularly his American mother and father raised him with what are considered, at least ideologically speaking, to be traditional American values, and because of that, he becomes the ultimate symbol of hope and goodness. But instead, in this movie, Pa Kent is the worst. Get Kevin Costner telling him all this ridiculous stuff like, oh, maybe you shouldn't go save anybody. Just, protect yourself kind of thing. And then they tried to do this Dark Knight thing because that worked so well for Batman and these previous comic book movies where it had to be gritty and real. And I mean, they were like basically said that Superman has to be, they can't have this idealistic 50s Superman. Can't do it. We have to make him more real. Nobody's going to accept that. And That's really basically what the problem is. I mean, that I can't say it as well as this, but I just want to read you this real quick. This is not me. This is some guy wrote
What
this
was
like
all this before? I was like all these like written arguments, but
I
it's okay.
I I've had countless arguments about this online.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
I had a
th-
feeling we weren't gonna like
this
cover
is what
all
it
of it.
comes down to right here, okay? I did not write this, but I cannot agree with it more. Okay? Somebody on, I don't know, probably Twitter or something wrote this probably right after Batman v Superman. Okay. They spent so much time with this movie and even doubled down even more on with Batman v Superman to take Superman as a character that's supposed to be like Richard Donner, supposed to be filled with hope and a symbol of hope and goodness, and said, that can't be. We can't do that. People won't accept it. You can't make this kind of a movie. And it's just sad that they did that in, 2012 or whenever this movie came out, 2013, I think.
2013.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, we've had a whole decade of this like horrible. I mean, all right, I'll just read this. Okay, this guy said this. Okay, I'll just give the guy credit because his name's right here on my phone, Richard Donaldson. I think this might have been a tweet or something. I don't know, but it says, in a post 9/11 war on terror world, Warner Brothers and DC has convinced people that Superman cannot exist. In a post 9/11 war on terror world, Marvel has convinced people that Captain America not only can exist, but should. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's and I still prefer Man of Steel. I mean, I'm not a big Marvel fan, but some of their movies are not bad. But and yes, like we said, a happy medium would be nice. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as I don't disagree with you about the criticism that he's joyless. The whole thing with the flying, I agree that that's just human. And maybe it's like, yeah, the Richard Donner, there's the whole running thing in the beginning, and he's like having fun with the
Oh, I like
train.
that. I forgot about that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's you don't see all you see about his childhood is that like he's being bullied. But maybe because that's what the movie was about, so they're like overly focused on having him be awkward, not in control of his power, being more of a freak, less of a talent, because he plays football in the original Superman. He's like super
Yeah.
fast, or he doesn't go all the way fast, but just like
Yeah.
quickly enough and all that stuff, or kicks the ball, like having fun with it, like a child would.
Right.
And you see none of that here. All you see is his awkwardness, and he's a loner,
Yeah.
and he goes off on weird adventures like fishing and whatnot. It's just a different movie because they said like, well, that's been done before. Let's do it differently.
Well,
That's
but
all.
Gil, I can accept that as as what you're saying, but as a filmmaker, if you're making a story about a character that represents hope, and I mean, it's not like that's not even talked about in the movie. Like we said in the trailer, that those lines are all in there. This movie is supposed to be about that. It purports to be about that, about a character that is a symbol of hope. Don't you feel that it's a huge flaw as a filmmaker to have a movie that is without hope and without joy and without optimism,
But I
if
think we
that's what your movie is
established.
about?
I mean, I think we did establish that in the end, the idea is that things can seem hopeless. They seem depressing. They seem insurmountable. Whether it's like his circumstances, how he made it to the planet, and he's fatherless by the end. He loses his original father, his adoptive father, and even his hologram father. Um, but in the end, he needs to make a very very tough decision, and it's not a fun one to make. But once he makes it, he knows that now he can be all the options are on the table. Like he can finally be free to be the man that he was destined to be. It's too bad that he has to go through all these trials and tribulations to get there, but that's the hero's journey. But like we said, yes, it doesn't pay off in Batman versus Superman. Although it's a battle of good versus evil in Batman versus Superman and stuff. So so there's some of that there as well. But but yes, like he needs to be a bit more of a Boy Scout, at least in the next movie, for Man of Steel to pay off. Because I do think there's hope at the end of it, and there's even some humor in the end of it. You know, like he,
Yeah, like
the
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 crashing the drone and stuff.
yeah, yeah, like where was that the entire movie? You
Well,
know?
so I'll say this because I didn't think about this until we were talking earlier. Now, I think, despite all of these terrible flaws with this movie, if DC and Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder had all looked at what they did with this movie and what was wrong with it, and then backpedaled, I think, like you just said, that if the next movie that came out with Henry Cavill as Superman, the follow up movie, then backpedaled and tried to be a more traditional Superman, I think this movie still could have served as a very flawed but functional beginning to their universe. But instead of backpedaling, they doubled down.
Yeah, and I don't deny that. I mean, I personally don't deny it. I think the next one is problematic, but they rushed it. It sounds like now Noir maybe liked it better than we did there, but yeah, it's that's why I kind of want to judge this movie based on its own merit because yeah, I do feel like a lot of what happened after is just a bit too rushed. And I don't like the serialization of the whole universe and stuff. I feel like it's a bit too much. So, but as far as like servicing this character again in the cinematic universe, this to me was a very serviceable movie and was very exciting. It wasn't a slam dunk. It definitely wasn't a slam dunk.
I liked Michael Shannon a lot.
Yeah,
Me too.
Michael Shannon was good. Henry Cavill is also good. He could be better. Like I really think he could have been lighter. I think it's just Snyder. I don't know.
I
S-
think when I see him in movies like Man from Uncle and stuff like that, I don't know if it's that he had years to grow as an actor or even the Mission Impossible movie that he's in. I
All
think
out.
yeah, thank you. I don't know. I don't think he's bad in this at all. I think he's a very good Superman. I think it has the script as the problem. I think the story that they're trying to tell and failing to tell is the problem. I think he's a fine Superman. I should not get into this because this is super comic book nerd nitpicky. But despite loving Amy Adams as an actress and just thinking that she's just a knockout, I think she's wrong for Lois Lane.
I don't know if she's wrong as much as that it's the same character issue. I really think that they didn't nail that altogether what she's supposed to be. She could have been stronger for sure.
Yeah.
Even though it may be a different. And there's actually I saw when I was watching the movie, I saw like an IMDb trivia. They said how she's at that point it was the third time she was auditioning for Lois Lane because apparently she
What?
auditioned for Superman Returns,
Oh my gosh.
and there was like the one that didn't happen. Um,
What?
so this was she was like the third time she's like, and at that point she was an established actress. She's like, I gotta get this role because it's stupid. Like I've tried it so many times to get it, I might as well like try to be it. So she forced herself in because she had star power by that point. But
Wow.
but yeah, no, it's but you're right. Maybe she wasn't the right Lois Lane. I do like her as an actress very much, but maybe
I
so,
could I could see her as at least three or four other comic book characters that I think she'd be far better as than Lois Lane.
yeah, it's tough. I really think that Snyder is not great. Like not a great actors director. Like I really think that he's just not good at whatever it is. Whether he doesn't tell them the right words or just sets the right tone or the scene correctly to get the right performances from people. Because I think everybody here could have been. Even Michael Shannon is better than what he is in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Snyder is just not a great director as far as acting. He's one of those. He's kind of like Ridley Scott. Should have been a cinematographer probably. you know. Um, but he's making movies, and he's making flawed movies, and every once in a while, with a very good script and a very good source material, might hit a home run like he did with 300. And I think Watchmen was a home run, not a
Yeah.
like a full like home run, but it's pretty good. It was very enjoyable.
I I love Watchmen, so but I mean, being a good director of actors. Okay, let's put that in our back pockets as a potential future episode
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
intriguing.
because I have some opinions about this because I actually used to act, as Gil knows. I mean, I've actually acted for Gil, so but
Yeah, no, that's a good
yeah,
idea for an episode about yeah, because it is
Craven.
an interesting subject. Craven.
yeah.